Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the TCUK Round 1 here at Donington Park National. My name is Daniel Handover, and joining me in the commentary box is Mr. Dylan Pick. Dylan, the first time we've actually worked together. Looking forward to being able to work with you more in the future. But I believe this is, we were talking about this before, a track that you're familiar with in the real world.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Simsport and VMO for having me, and it's good to be joining you tonight, Dan. Donington, it's what would be considered my local circuit. It's the only one I've been to in real life. It's one of my favourite tracks of all time, and I'm really looking forward to our first time working together and the opening round of the TCUK Championship being at this circuit, which is so close to my heart especially.
Absolutely. Well, Donington Park, we all know Donington Park, one of the staples of British motorsport, obviously featuring the crane and curves, old hairpin, two very, very famous corners, very tricky corners as well, and then the likes of McLean's, Coppice, and down finally into the Robert Chicane. It's a great, great circuit. This is also a fast circuit, and it's one of the best circuits, really, to start any race series off, especially something like TCUK. In terms of the drivers, we've got a few new drivers. I believe we have 11 new entries this season in TCUK, and that's obviously going to shake things up a little bit. We can see there is the spotters guide there. So again, we have people obviously from the top level. You can see Dan Kell there in the Focus RS, very, very experienced person within R-Factor and TCUK. Matt Richards as well, Ross McGregor, and then a little bit further down the order, you can see again lots of new entrants that are dotted around. But there's a few drivers that we have seen several times here across several seasons, as they will be hoping to obviously make sure that they can stay up the top, as with the new entrants are going to be wanting to make sure that they can make an impact, really make an impression right from the word go. We have 3 races for you today, as with normal touring car fashion. They're going to be around 20 minutes each and another couple of minutes or so, and we'll be getting ready for race number 1. So Dylan, going into this race, obviously very, very new, with lots of new drivers, again, lots of experienced drivers as well. It's really difficult, I think, for us to predict anything because we simply don't know. There are a couple of drivers that we know are going to be realistically up there, but at the same time, it's quite hard to tell with this first race.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's all very new to me as well, so I feel very privileged, and it's an exciting experience for me and all the viewers out there, but because this doesn't happen regularly and there are 11 new entries with 30 cars on the grid, it's very exciting. We just don't know what's going to happen. The defending champion Dan Kell is here. You'd expect the defending champion to be the one to watch out for, but it's so unknown, really, with new cars and everything as well. What could happen? It's unknown to everyone, and it makes for a really good season. As you can see, the 10-round calendar there. All really staples in the British calendar. We've got Brands Hatch Indy next as well, which again, a track that can spice up anything. It's so short, but it's only about a mile long, Brands Hatch Indy. But that's also very interesting. But here is the grid. I'll let you take this one away, Dan.
Lovely stuff, thank you very much. So going through your top 5 at least, you have Butcher, Davis, Richard, Maguire, and then Elliott a little bit further down the field as well. You can see Hutt, Leppert, Morbury, Dowman, Morris, and then Spuda at P21. Obviously, these not stay the same. Bear in mind, as drivers now making their way to the grid, this will change very much so. So let's keep an eye out for what happens. We're just about to get ready. A few more drivers left to go on the grid, and then we will be getting the lights underway. And then it's a relatively short run down into turn 1. You haven't got too much run down into Redgate. Keep an eye out though. Standing start, front wheel drive cars will struggle. They always do here. Although we do see that's Chris Butcher and then Toby Davis taking P1 and P2. We do have a warm-up lap very, very quickly. Allows drivers just to get the tyres up to temperature, get the brakes up to temperature a little bit as well. Something that is and can be quite useful, especially when you're in, something like or a big braking zone. Redgate's a relatively, probably class it as a medium braking zone, so drivers still will want to get their tyres and brakes warmed up so they can get maximum advantage going down into going down into turn 1. But there's your full grid on the left. So you have Butcher, that's Chris Butcher taking pole position with Toby Davis second, Matt Richards in P3, Luke McGuire 4th, Matthew Churgwin in 5th, Luke Mitchell 6th, Chris Shepherd P7, Ross McGregor takes 8th, Callum Wilson 9th, Daniel Herlock in 10th, Dan Kell P11, John Monroe 12th, Cameron Brewster P13, Ben Willis takes 14th on the grid, Dan Hunt takes 15th, Johan Leppert in 16th, Phil Morgan 17th, Sam Dowman in 18th, and Scott Morris and Max Spooner P19 and P20. Obviously, we have the spotters guide here, so we're going to be able to keep you up to date with what is going on. Running on board for the final part of this formation lap with Toby Davis. Because it is certainly going to be an interesting start. Keep an eye on Matt Richards. Matt Richards, he is in the BMW for this season, and we know that the rear-wheel drive cars start a lot better. There is Matt Richards, you can just see there, and also as well, I believe that's Luke McGuire, also in the BMW. So there's going to be a few drivers that you're going to see. You can just warming their tyres out now, again, just getting that final little bit of advantage in if they can. It's all going to kick off in about 30 seconds. The final set of drivers just come into their starting positions. And you'll see the lights will come on in the top right of your screen. And then once they go out, you can see, I can't quite see who that is, but someone's taking a very, very aggressive start. Can't quite see who that is, but it's an Astra, I think. But either way, they're looking at a pretty aggressive start right from the word-go. Lights are on, so here we go. Round number one, race number one is underway. Who gets a good start? Look at that, Matt Richards straight away capitalises on the rear-wheel drive opportunity. He's already up into first place. He's got the inside on Toby Davis as he goes down into Redgate, and he now leads. Toby Davis second, Chris Butcher in third, and then Maguire in P4. Churgwin in fifth. That's your current top five as they all come down now into Crane curves for the first time, breaking down. It's a very, very tricky corner, his old hairpin, especially on the opening lap when the tyres are a little bit cold. Bottom right of your screen is Sam Dowman for Wolfsman Racing. There was a little bit of contact there, a little bit further back. Can't quite see. That was, I think, Dan Hutt that was getting a little bit sideways going through old hairpin in the bottom right corner of your screen in the Subaru Levorg. Great to see that car still being used as well. Fantastic car to see there. And it's still being used by a few drivers, as that is, I believe, Matt Richards and Toby Davis still at the front, battling relatively aggressively in these opening stages of the race. Some getting kicked up on the grass there. I think that was Toby Davis trying to get the cutback. Can't quite get it there. Attack mode's been activated for Matt Richards. Just give him a little bit more boost of power, I believe. Can't for the life of me remember how much horsepower is actually given. Maybe it just gives you a bit of an advantage there. Which is still in P3. He's dropped off of the back a little bit from Toby Davis. So the teammate, that's someone else that's gone off. Can't quite see who that is. I know it's one that was... Oh! Big incident. Just come across who I think... In all honesty, that's very, very hard to tell. We're hopefully going to get some more. I believe that was...
Sam Dowman.
Sam Dowman. Very, very true. Yes, very good spot there for Wolfsman Racing. Sam Dowman. Big, big incident there. That was nasty. Just came across, tried to keep his foot in, which in one respect you can do, but just couldn't quite get it. Couldn't quite get it back on the circuit in a safe manner. Come across, and that was the end of that.
Well, I completely missed that because I was trying to find out how much horsepower you get for the attack mode, and it's 54 horsepower extra you get. And we saw a lot of drivers using it. Someone used it straight on the exit of Redgate, which was very surprising. Straight away, you'd thought drivers would be a bit more controlled with it and use it at a more key point, but you know, you can see then already on the top left hand side of the screen, a lot of drivers popping the attack mode and already wanting to hustle and get these early positions, which is very interesting. But then you can see people like Dan Kell, Wilson and Herlock all using together, then the top five all just popping them as they exit the Goodard chicane. You're all going to be using it at the same time, and it basically nullifies the effect of it. So maybe they need to stop being a little smarter with when they use it. That's Dan Kell, the defending champion, going a bit defensive into turn one from Wilson. Wilson wasn't really close enough, but Herlock's close to the back of Wilson. And here's a replay then of the incident. That's the number 28 just getting on the curb, going off, and I'm guessing they're going to hit the barrier and come across and collect some people. There we go, in the ground. You gotta love video games, and takes out. Who was that just got collateral? Was that Kurt? Was that Churgwin that got collateral there?
It may have been. It was one of the Infinities, I believe. Yes, Matthew Churgwin for the drag racing car. Unfortunate there. Like I said, a complete passenger. A bit of a shame. But yeah, that is unfortunately the things, especially on opening laps. Everyone's still thereabouts. It can get very, very busy very, very quickly. Still riding now currently with Dan Kelt as your main. So we switch now to Matt Richards. P2 is currently, so Toby Davis has got past him, which I believe that was last lap. So you can see again all the drivers, at least the top five, using all of their attack modes just to try and keep the distance. New best lap time set by Davis with a 108.048 as Matt Richards, he's half a second down. He has pulled a little bit of time back on Toby Davis, but this is where now we've got to see how tyre management, apologies, can actually start to get into this a little bit more, because your tyre management is very, very key here. Arguably, the front-wheel drive cars, if you're not careful on tyres, they will start to go and they will drop off very, very quickly. Rear-wheel drive, you've got the rear wheels obviously actually driving the car, you've got the front wheel steering the car, so they don't have to do, you've got one set of tyres doing one thing only. So if you can manage your tyres in the front-wheel drive car, it can be very, very fast, but it can be a little bit safer towards the end of the race if you're in the rear-wheel drive car. Something that I've always wanted to go for rear-wheel drive if I can. Matt Richards a little bit closer this time to the back of Toby Davis, but then again, attack mode just opens up that gap once again to about half a second. Definitely through the likes of McLean's and Coppice. I think Richards has the advantage for the moment. Davis uses another attack mode. You can see again that gap just shooting up. Matt Richards doesn't respond with one though, so he's obviously saving them for a little bit later. 0.7 of a second now is the gap. A couple of drivers coming out on pit lane. I believe one of them would have been, as I just trying to see, that would have been the incident we saw a little bit earlier on.
Tom Stevens and Matthew Churgman, I believe that will be coming out of pits. You can see on the inside of turn 1 and 2, that was Tom Stevens going slowly, letting everyone through. He was on number 28 that just hit the curb, and then he started doing a bit of lawn mowing there down the main straight, and then it was a bit of an unfortunate one, couldn't quite control the car. The incident almost sums up touring car racing, a bit uncontrolled, a bit argy-bargy, and so far though I'm quite impressed, especially with turn 1. Turn 1 at Donington is always quite a scrappy corner, because like you said at the start, it's not quite, it's low speed, it's medium speed, but it's enough to get an overtake done, and especially in turn 1, lap 1, people are going to go for the moves. With touring car racing notoriously quite scrappy as well as it is, it was fairly clean. There's another car there and the distance that just went and hit the curbs through Goddards. Maybe the driver needs to lay off that a bit. I'm seeing a few more accidents. But yeah, back onto the attack mode, as you can see, a lot of drivers as they go down the main straight using it. There's the number 444, Callum Wilson, trying to go around the outside of Dan Kell. Couldn't quite get it done. Good defending there by Dan Kell. Yeah, as the attack modes are being popped, drivers can use it maximum 3 times a lap, which gives them a lot of opportunities, especially around Donington Park. If you go into turn 1, into the Goodard chicane, into the old hairpin, or even if you're feeling opportunistic up at Coppice or McLean's, there's a lot of opportunities, and I feel like personally 3 attack modes is quite or 3 a lap is quite generous as well. So it means, do you think maybe that having 3 is a bit too much, because it means that drivers, as we see, they're just constantly using it and you don't really get the defensive or offensive strategic mind you could have with the drivers having the limited amount of attack modes, whereas 3 a lap is quite regular, as that is Scott Morris drifting a bit there through Coppice.
Yeah, it's an interesting, it's something interesting to discuss as well, and everyone's got personal preference. I don't necessarily think everyone's in the same boat as we now differ. This has gone very, very aggressive, and all of a sudden, possibly 3 wide going down into, that is going to be, so that's Dan Kell on the outside. Sorry, no, that's Ross McGregor, the number 3. He comes down, aggressive driving there with the 444. It's getting very, very argy-bargy. Johan's left it in that Subaru Lavore. Another bit of a battle. Can't see who that is. That is... just couldn't quite see who that was. Scott Morris, actually, apologies. So Scott Morris behind there. So the gap around about 0.8 of a second. So we now go to John Munro, who's just sitting at the back of this train here, McGregor, Wilson and Herlock. So that was Wilson, apologies, in that 444 that just got the inside of Ross McGregor. So John Munro, next person to try and get past. They're my teammates for Ross McGregor, so we'll see if he can get past, or if he's going to possibly just play it a little bit safe. We're nearly halfway through this race. As well, you can see he's having a little bit of a look, possibly just stepping out of the slipstream a little bit, just filling McGregor's mirrors. So he obviously wants to get past. Further up the order, though, this top 5 is becoming very, very... becoming a lot closer. We did see the gap between Butcher and Richards open up a little bit, up to about 0.9 of a second. It has now come down now. It's dropped to about 7.5. So it is starting to close. I wonder perhaps Is Davis now just trying, not backing up Richards per se, but is he just trying to modulate tyres now? Is he trying to just manage the tyres a little bit, keep the car under control? There is, so you can see there, to the lead at a second, and then only half a second now. So he is catching up to Matt Richards, another couple of tenths. So he might try and possibly, it's tricky though again with these front-wheel drive cars. The front-wheel drive cars, they do have, we've got yellow in sector 1 somewhere, not entirely sure who that is. And, but yeah, I just think these front-wheel drive cars, you have to be careful. You can push the car when you want, but you do have to be careful at the same time. Ross McGregor, though, tries to go back at the inside of Wilson. Can't quite do it, though, although in saying that, what's going to happen here, because Herlock's just up ahead, the number 87. Is he going to be? I thought he was going to get passed by Wilson there going into the final chicane, but no, they all slot into single file once again. Can Ross McGregor get the good exit? Doesn't seem like he can, no. So Wilson in the Infinity manages to stay ahead for another lap. This is another cracking little train here. Sees obviously McGregor sitting there, lunges up the inside of Wilson. Wilson leaves the door open, bit of contact between the two. And we'll see Wilson manages to keep the car going in a straight line, but Ross McGregor now does have the advantage, possibly going down to Craner curves. Can he take the inside? There's absolutely no gap between the two, but Ross McGregor capitalised on that well. John Monroe tries to have a bit of a look as well, now riding on board with the number 22 Zancho Simsport driver. Couldn't quite get it though through old Hairpin. Although Ross McGregor, have a look at that. McGregor's trying to have a look up the inside. I wonder if there was a bit of contact there, because it's a little bit wide there for the number 87. And is that going to be another possible move? It is going to be for Ross McGregor, but is it going to be for Wilson as well? But John Monroe decides that he wants to get past both of them at the same time. And John Monroe decides that he wants to, he's not hanging about. Can't quite get it though. Just couldn't quite get the drive. Might have caught a little bit of grass there, which stopped him. Unfortunately, what it means for Herlock, Dan Herlock is just going to get absolutely, he's been pushed out constantly. He's dropped 2 positions in the space of 1 lap. Unfortunately, John Monroe couldn't quite get past. That was a bit of an interesting battle there, as we've seen, and as you said there, Dylan, a bit of argy-bargy, which is what we normally and what we expect to see from the likes of touring cars.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing I really enjoy about watching touring car racing. No one's really afraid to get their elbows out. No one's going to be passive, because they're not necessarily the widest of cars either. So you can do what John Monroe did and try and send it down the inside at Coppice. It's not really a normal overtaking spot, but very opportunistic. And then 3 wide down the back straight. This is just why we love touring car racing. Door to door, elbows out. It's scrappy. It's good. It's very exciting to watch. Everyone's just gonna go for it. They really have no care really for everyone around them. Yes, for leaving spaces. Yes, for being clean. They're willing to take risks, and this is just what I like to see from these drivers. Willing to take risks, willing to risk their own race to try and get this position. As we see, this is Dan Herlock being chased by, if we can, who's that behind him? Is Cameron Brewster in the number 38 Infinity car. There. This is also, if we look at the top 5 as well, as Cameron Brewster now having to go a bit defensive as he peers for an attack onto Daniel Herlock. But as you can see, a nice train as well. If you look at the timing screen as well to the top 5, look how close it is there as well. There's a bit of a gap now between Butcher and Maguire forming. But it's not like top levels of motorsport where you see these massive 10-second gaps. They are all grouped up together, and that's a penalty for Morris. Or if we can get some news on that, he's in P17, he's in the pits now. Track limits.
Been told it's for track limits. Yeah, I've been told it's track limits. Actually, something that you've got to be keeping an eye on, is it? Because track limits can be very, very tricky here, especially if you get too many of them. So you will find we've had a couple of people now that I believe have had track limit penalties. Matthew Churgrin still chasing down Luke Maguire, but nothing as of yet. BMW versus Infinity. Number 43 for Nocturne car. That's Matthew Joe for Drake Racing, number 43. Chasing down the Nocturne number 18 BMW of Maguire. So rear-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. So we have 3 rear-wheel drive cars in the top 5. Actually, I believe the Infinity is front drive, if I'm not mistaken. I for the life of me, have just sort of forgotten. I think it might actually be a front-wheel drive, in all honesty. Someone, I'm sure, will correct me on that in a few moments. You see a little bit of a lock-up there, an old hairpin for Maguire. That would have cost him a little bit of time, would have put a little bit more stress on the rear tyres, on the front tyres as well. Again, another little bit of sideways movement. This might allow Churgwin to have a bit of a look up the inside. I thought it was going to be, but he goes a little bit wide also as well on the exit of McLean's, but he hasn't dropped all that much time, in all honesty. So possible move here for, actually, I think there was a bit of sideways moment there. I think it's Infinity maybe, rear-wheel drive, in fact. But either way, gaps stay roughly the same. They have opened up once again. And in fact, Butcher has actually just got past Matt Richards. Matt Richards, apologies, has lost a position to Butcher. Is he going to try and get it back, though? He tries to go to the inside. He's going to get the run down. It's going to be a lunge. He goes for the lunge, does Matt Richards. And I think he's gone and done it. He has. You see it on the time tower. It has changed over. And that's going to be Matt Richards that takes that position back. Although, you see Chris Butcher just holds it around the outside, going through the first half of Crane Curves. He's going to hold it through the second half of Crane Curves as well. But Matt Richards is on the inside, going through Old Hairpin. They both lock up a little bit. It's still side by side by Matt Richards. I don't think he's going to quite do it. No, he doesn't. Butcher stays ahead. This is a rivalry that has been going on many, many seasons and is already going forward for race number 1. I've only got 3 laps left as well, bear in mind. But now looks what's happened. Davis has just driven off into the distance. And that's going to allow this 4-car battle of 4P2. Matt Richards back up the inside into Coppice. He manages to make the move stick. Yes, he does. Maguire was a little bit too much curb into Coppice. That would have cost him a bit of time. So, once again, roles reversed. Matt Richards now ahead. Chris Butcher now in 3rd place. Tries to have a look again, fill in the rearview mirrors of Matt Richards, but he has not wavered one little bit. Gets a nice clean exit through the final chicane. Yes, he does. Look at that. He's pulled out about 0.2 of a second. Exactly what he needed. That would have given him a little bit of a breathing room. Good little batter there by the 4. It's not over yet, though. Again, 2 more laps to go. This is where it starts to get a little bit more aggressive, perhaps, or more aggressive, I should say, than we've already seen. And maybe moves that weren't going to happen at the start of the race now will start to creep in.
Well, you say that there's a penalty for Mitchell, so that was another track limits. But you say that, but we saw what Monroe did up at Coppice. I mean, it's touring car racing. What you'd expect to be a last-ditch effort is normally the standard here, and expect to see as Matt Richard locks up into McLean's, I believe. And now is this going to be, who's that in the number 65? Chris Butcher trying to get round Matt Richards. This is the battle for P2. This is going to invite Maguire in as well. And then Churgwin pops attack mode. Toby Davis has run off into the distance here. Up towards the chicane. Everyone with their attack modes. They've run out of straight. They've not really got much of an opportunity as they all just mimic each other one after the other with attack modes. Now Churgwin onto the main straight. Maguire will then pop attack mode as well, and then Richard. But round the outside, Butcher tries to peer remove. Defensive, Richard goes. Butcher can't find a way through. Tries to get a switchback, but he's nowhere near close enough. And having to make these defensive moves and these little squabbles is just going to invite the cars further behind. And Churgwin might just be rubbing his hands a bit here. Maybe a potential crash as there are only 2 laps to go. We hope there isn't one, but you never know what could happen. One wrong move and it is over. They are seemingly starting to get a bit scrappy here as Butcher follows right down the inside. He tries to go through Stark. He's now going to try and go around the outside of McLean's. He's not really a spot you want to be doing. He's sticking himself on the outside of and running wide. But Butcher, will he go defensive? No, he holds his normal line into Coppice. Butcher holds his line, doesn't peek out, but is now inviting Maguire. As you can see, Maguire is very close to the back, and so is Churgwin, all popping attack modes as they go onto the back straight up towards good old chicane as we ride on board with Luke Maguire in the number 18. Again, you can see no one really close enough. Make a move into the chicane as we go on to the final lap of the race.
Indeed, so yes, lap 16 out of 16. The current gap between Davis. Oh, Chris Butcher goes to the inside very aggressively. Matt Richards recognises it. Tries to carry his normal racing line and carry as much speed as he can. Is he going to possibly get a cut back? No, he goes a little bit wide. That would have cost him. He might try and wait. That might be the last possible move, because you can see here, Tapmo's being used all over the shop. 2.5 of a second is the gap between Richards and Butcher. This is the battle that we want to watch, and this is the battle that we're going to be very, very interested to see how it comes through. Like I said, at the moment, Davis has got this wrapped in the bag. He's 7 seconds up the road between from Butcher, so he's certainly got race 1 in hand, providing he keeps it nice and clean for the final few corners. Matt Richards gets very, very close to the back of it's going to be a last lap absolute send going into that final chicane. I can see it now. You can actually see, but I think that's Churgwin as well getting involved. Churgwin's got past Maguire. That's going to allow him to try and make a move. It's going to be a possible 3 wide going down. It's not going to be a 3 wide actually, because Maguire Churgwin has backed off. Is there going to be a send? No, there is not. No, Matt Richards decides against it, wants to take the positions, but Toby Davis takes P1 for race number 1. Great racing from him. Chris Butcher in second. Matt Richards playing the long game and taking the points rather than causing or potential incident, and goes and takes P3. Churgwin, Maguire in 4th and 5th. A little bit further down though, Callum Wilson having a little bit of a battle. Can't quite make the move, unfortunately. Can't quite. He manages to stay ahead of Dan Herlock. Phil will be P14. A couple of drivers left to finish. And then we'll be having a little bit of a break and then going down, getting set up and ready for race number 2. But race 1, as we expected, certainly provided some good racing, certainly provided a good amount of battling, as we would be expected to see from any touring car race, and especially with VMO, providing some good racing as always. They've been going for a long time, VMO, as well. And I remember racing in one of the seasons back as well, a few years ago. That was absolutely fantastic racing then, and it's very much the same now. But yes, 3 very, very good stuff. Davis, Butcher, and Richards. Interesting enough, I thought Richards was going to make a move going down into Robert. But to be fair, I can understand why. Playing the long game, there's 2 other races to go this evening. And as well, you've got the entire championship left to go. You've got a long way to go in this championship. So, there's plenty of other opportunities to make some positions up.
Yeah, indeed. But then you're gonna, if it comes back to it in the end of our championship and you lose it by a point or so, you're then gonna look back and probably be gutted you didn't go for it. But at the same time, that 3rd place could be better than a potential DNF or 5th or whatever if it went wrong. So in hindsight, it's probably the safest thing to do, not go for the move and just hold back. And it's 3rd, it's very good. I mean, he might be gutted he didn't get higher, but no one was really going to be catching Toby Davis there. Once everyone started squabbling, he ran off into the distance. He was unseen. Very deserved win for him. The other 2 further back, brilliant battle between Matt Richards and who else was they battling with?
They were battling with Churgwin, and I think it was Churgwin. Maguire did have a penalty, so that was why he dropped down the order in the end. But Churgwin and Maguire were having a bit of a scrap as well. So, Chris Butcher as well, yes, obviously Butcher in second. So, as you said, Matt Richards just play the long game, taking the points. You may as well. Plus, there's 2 extra rounds as well. There may be something that, again, as people get more used to the track, more used to the conditions, etc., they will then be able to. They will be able to go through and obviously have a little bit more experience, a little bit more practice within this. Within the circuit. We're going to have a short break in a few moments, and then we'll be coming back for race number 2. But race 1, as per usual, absolutely fantastic amount of battling. We've got 2 more races to go, bear in mind. So do stick around for that. We will be having a very, very short break while we change everything over, and then we'll get ready for race number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to race number 2 of the TCUK 2022, round number 1 here at Donington Park. My name is Daniel Handover, and I'm joined by Dylan Big. So, race 1, obviously interesting race 1, bit of battling going on as we would have seen as per usual. But race 2, following on from the actual finishing positions of race 1, they've now got to obviously make sure they get good start down into red gate, maximise the position. Some people have moved forward, other people have unfortunately moved back. A couple of drivers left to go on the grid, and then we will be underway for a formation lap. But as it stands, we have Toby Davis on the front row alongside Chris Butcher. Matt Richards in P3, so the top 3 have very much stayed the same. Matthew Churgwin in 4th, Ross McGregor P5, Dan Cowan in P6, both the drivers moving up. Daniel Hurlock in 7th, Cameron Brewster takes P8 with Dan Hurt in 9th. Chris Shepherd rounds out your top 10, Luke Maguire in 11th, Johan Leppert in 12th, Phil Morby 13th, John Monroe P14 after a penalty, Max Spooner 15th, Scott Morris 16th, Ben Willis in P17, Sam Down went 18th, Luke Mitchell after another penalty in 19th, and then Ryan Elliott rounding out the top 20. So, Dylan, obviously race 1, we now know we have a bit of understanding of what the cars are like, we have a bit of understanding of what the drivers are like as well. I think this can probably tell us a little bit more of what's going to happen in race 2.
Yeah, it was a 1-2 finish for THR team, I believe. That is Toby Davis. Yes, THR, Toby Davis, and Chris Butcher. So we already know that they're probably the team to look out for, at least in this round. But then you also need to think, if you look down the order sort of thing, we know Matt Richards, quick starting car, rear-wheel drive, as you pointed out. And then there's John Monroe. We saw him making a very opportunistic move. I know people down the order will like getting their elbows out and having a bit of a send, and not gonna go for it is the best way you could probably put it. So we know we're gonna have some scrappy racing. Everyone had the opening race of the season to get themselves comfortable, know their surroundings again for this year's racing, and then we're gonna get back into it, and it's gonna be, hopefully we get some good racing, some aggressive but clean racing. We get some brilliant moves. It's just brilliant to watch for us here and everyone at home.
Indeed, very, very true, very well put there. So drivers making their way down onto their starting positions. Toby Davis will once again be leading the way. Interesting enough, though, Matt Richards starting in P3. Do not count him out because he will be getting a very, very good start as long as he can get it. Have a look at that, Toby Davis. You can already see he's mirrored what Matt Richards is doing. You can see Matt Richards just behind, taking a very, very aggressive stance going into, well, they've almost sort of like pinching up together. Couple of laps, a couple of seconds to go, and then we'll be underway. And in fact, here we go. It wasn't the good start that we normally would see from Matt Richards. Got caught out a little bit, possibly by the start. So he is going to slot. He's only going to stay in P3. Chris Butcher, though, tries to go on the outside. There's going to be Matt Richards. Oh, I thought he was going to dive down going into 1, but no, not at all. But they both make contact. The THR guys make contact. That is going to allow Matt Richards to go through. Look at that. Slots up into P2. Takes no second chance on that and slots straight up and then splits the THR car. Scott Morris has had a moment as well in the Subaru Levorg. He now drops way to the back of the grid. That is a big, big shame there. Unfortunately, a couple of other cars as well. I can't remember who that was. One of the Astras. I think that was Ryan Elliott, apologies. We've just been told that it also had a small note for the Team Hard outfit as we go through a big, big sideways moment for Chris Butcher there on colder tyres, just trying to get them warmed up a little bit. Can't quite get it sorted though. Davis has stormed away, 0.6 of a second already on this first lap alone. Yellow in sector 2, but all drivers making their way through, still relatively clean at the moment. They're all relatively close together as well. Chris Butcher might have a move possibly on Matt Richards. We'll have to see as he goes down into the final chicane, and it is going to be side by side. Matt Richards manages to stay ahead though. That would have cost him, although Ross McGregor, he might try and make a move now. He's going to be on the outside going down into Redgate from Chris Butcher. So is this a battle for P3 that's really, really going forward here? Is he going to try and go through the outside? The timing tower tells us that that is not the case. And the gap is still no. So Ross McGregor does slot back into 4th with Dan Kell right behind reigning champion in P5th. First lap, as it turns out then, first lap pretty clean, but good capitalisation there, Dylan, for Matt Richards.
Yeah, it was Very good. You saw the THR guys getting a bit squabbling despite having a poor start, especially with a rear-wheel drive car. Got a lot of wheel spin off the line and he sort of bogged down because of it. Then there was Chris Butcher, who got a very good start, trying to get past his teammate. Davis blocked him, and then Matt Richards found the gap as they sort of just hit bumpers a bit down the inside, and eventually maybe the bad start kind of helped him a bit there, because if he got a good start we could have been seeing him go 3 wide, and that could have ended in catastrophe. But we also saw further back down the order, a more typical start at Redgate, where cars do go off, do adventure towards the Hollywood stand. That's the sort of characteristics of touring car racing, especially Donington as well. These cars, this track works hand in hand. It's brilliant. And Butcher has all got past McGregor again. Ooh, hang on, we have lost Matt Richards. Actually, he's gone down the order. There's no yellows about.
Must have had a moment or possible bit of contact, but he's really struggling a little bit. He's getting pressured. He's getting pressured quite heavily here by Dan Herlock. He's going to go side by side, bit of contact there as well between the two. Manages to all keep it in check though, although keep an eye out there. Is that further beyond? That's number 18, I believe. That's Tom Eli that's going through. He's going to be a new entrant for this season. Still side by side is Matt Richards and Dan Herlock. That's a big sideways moment though. Fair play to Herlock for keeping it all in check. The Team Hard outfit. That's another spin. Big spin there for Churgwin. That's cost down. That's a shame there. Unfortunately, good result and strong finishing position in race 1. Unfortunately, not going to be the same for race 2. That was a bit of a switchback there. Wow, that was pretty aggressive there from Eli, the number 13. Is he going to try and make it stick? Actually, sorry, that's the number 18 instead. Apologies, yes. Yes, Luke McGuire. A little bit squirrely there. Honestly, Matt Richards, just can't. Must have had obviously a moment possible that he's picked up a little bit of damage there as well. As we see a couple of the Team Hard outfit there. As I think that's Shepherd that's getting trying to take the defensive line going into turn 1. He does indeed manage to take that defensive line, so that will cost him. Although John Monroe, and that is I'm trying to think actually that is number 22 of John Monroe. Whoa, big moment there. Who was that? Someone's going to come across the circuit. I think manages to all avoid it. That was one of the Team Hard
outfits, I believe, is Elliott.
Yes, that wasn't. That wasn't Chris Shepherd. That was teammate Ryan Elliott there.
It was Dan Hurd, Ryan Elliott.
Big moment up ahead. They're going to go 3 wide down into Copper. This is not going to go. This is going to go all sorts of wrong. They're still tagging each other. The 18, the 11. Matt Richards decides he wants to take no. He needs no second invitation there. But have a look. This is one of the Zanjo cars. Number 22. Being very aggressive now. Side by side, that is John Moreau and Chris Shepherd. They're going to go side by side down to the final chicane. Are they going to manage to go side by side? Yes, they do. Doors hanging pretty much the entirety of the final chicane, but it is going to be John Monroe that's going to have the inside going into Redgate, which will give him an advantage, although we see that Shepherd sees that. No, he can't quite get the drive. So John Monroe managing to slot back into 6th. Good performance there. Ross McGregor, though, I've just seen as well. He's just been trundling along a little bit further ahead. He's in P3, so certainly for a few guys, they made some big moves.
Yeah, a man of opportunistic moves in the first race, doing it again. John Monroe got 3. Was that 2 or 3 he got in one corner there, making the most of everyone squabbling, bit of contact. He says, thank you very much. Down the inside he goes. And job's done. That was a brilliant move there by John Monroe. Definitely, he's not the highest, he's not racing in the highest of positions, but he's definitely giving us a show as everyone's drifting there through McLean's. Don't get too alarmed. That is a very normal sight, really, them drifting through McLean's and Coppice at Donington. It's quite a sight in real life. If you ever have the chance to go, definitely make the most of it. Yellow's in sector 2. It's been a more scrappy race than the first one. Cameron Brewster's under pressure there, who from can't have a look at. Ooh, bit of a squabble going on as that was one of the THR cars going down the inside. I believe that is Mitchell getting the defending champion Dan Kell as we go up towards Redgate on lap 6. Then the THR of who I literally said his name and he's gone off of the top of my head. It's that chaotic. It's all going from the top of my dome.
But you got the THR, that was Toby Davis and then Chris Butcher. Toby Davis, which is still leading, and then Butcher 1.6 seconds behind. But Ross McGregor is pressuring the back of Butcher quite a lot, so we might see if we can see how that battle develops as the laps progress. Nearly halfway through race number 2. And obviously, bear in mind, we've got one more race off this. There is Ross McGregor. You can see absolutely glued to the back. Now riding on board with Gregor. There's a bit of contact there, pushing him along. That's something that you also see quite a lot in touring cars. The top 3, the top 4 all use attack modes once again as they go through. It seems that the Vauxhall's a little bit quicker than the Ford, than the Focus going down on the main straight. They both use attack mode at roughly the same point. It just seems that Vauxhall is a little bit faster on the straight. It seems to be a bit faster through the final sector in general. And Ross McGregor seems to be able to close the gap up going through down Craner Curbs through Old Hairpin. Bear in mind, this is a fast circuit. That's very late on the brakes there for Ross McGregor. Might be a little bit too late. Yes, it was. He cost himself, loses a little bit of time there on exit. Not too much, though, but he has lost a little bit of time. There's more battling going on around in the top 10. Brewster, Mitchell, Herlock. They're only a couple of tenths away from each other. And in fact, Munro, Shepherd, Brewster and Mitchell are the big train that you'll just maybe able to see. You can just see Matt Richards there in back of shot. 3.8 seconds down in P5. We'll have to see what he's able to do in terms of lap time. There's a yellow in Sector 2, and I believe that was one of the Subaru Lavore cars just pulling out of the way, allowing everyone to go through. That may have been Sam Dowman for one of the Wilsman racing cars. Ross McGregor still pressuring the back very, very heavily of Chris Butcher, wanting this move. Have a look at Luke Maguire, just sitting there, patiently waiting, not trying to use up his tyres, because that's, again, something that we could very well see come the end of this race. If drivers push their cars a little bit too hard, that's a move, possibly. I think I may have just seen a move there a little bit further down. One of the Infinity cars, may have been Cameron Brewster, perhaps, for the Dreg Racing. Got a move, and I think it may have been, although we now move back up to Ross McGregor versus Chris Butcher side by side down into Craner Curbs. Who's going to have the opportunity? Who's going to have the drive going through into Old Hairpin? It is going to be Chris Butcher still, but is Ross McGregor to try and make it move? No, he tries to, but doesn't succeed. This will allow Maguire to come track up. All of a sudden, the gap between Maguire and McGregor has halved, and now Maguire is possibly going to try and make a move going through Schwant's curve down into McLean's. Can't quite do it, though. So it is, once again, a three-way battle for P3. Depending on how these guys battle, Matt Richards, for this final half of the race, may also be on the cards to catch up here. We simply don't know at this stage.
It's another one of these races where, as McGregor trying to be a bit opportunistic, because it's getting very scrappy. Chris Butcher goes defense on the inside line. McGregor couldn't quite find the gap. There, Maguire as well, trying to see if he could find a way through. Poor exit there from Ross McGregor is now going to leave him vulnerable to Maguire. McGregor goes offensive as they go up towards Redgate round the outside. Maguire is going to try and go, and I think he's going to be able to get it done as they come back into shot, and he does. Brilliant move around the outside there for Luke McGregor. For Luke Maguire and Ross McGregor. Poor exit out of the final chicane has left him very vulnerable, and then again he's not even close enough to try and fight back in towards the Old Hairpin. But right now Toby Davis is running away with this, and that little battle there and switch position is going to give Chris Butcher a bit of a break. Maybe a chance to close down on his teammate, who's been flawless so far these first two races. Or maybe if he can just hope to hold position as Maguire and McGregor continue to scrap out as we go up towards Coppice. Very tricky double apex corner, drift out wide, swing it back in, and now this is the number 99 and number 87, I believe.
Dan Cow, unfortunately, has fallen down the order quite a lot. You have a look at that. He's down into 13th, which is running P5, P6 at one point. A bit of a shame there for Dan Cow, but he's got a little bit of time to catch up, a little bit of time to make some positions up. The next person up ahead of him, 1.6 seconds down, is Daniel Herlock. Sorry, 1.6 seconds ahead. So we'll keep an eye out for that. A little bit further up the order, there are only a couple of positions. This is Phil Morby versus Dan Hunt. Dan Hunt being in the Lavore, so front-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. But then, have a look, Daniel Herlock is wanting to try and capitalise on both of these cars battling. Actually, by these two battling, this will also allow Dan Cow to catch up. As we see Morby taking a little bit of grass going down into Craner Curves. That's very, very dangerous. A little bit less dangerous than a front-wheel drive car, but dangerous nevertheless. And Dan Kell has caught up a little bit. I don't think it's really by too much. There is going to have to be some more scrapping, which there is. Phil Morby tries now around the outside. It's going to be the inside for Chance Curve. It's going to be on the outside for McLean. It's a brave move. Bit of a big lock-up there, unfortunately, for Dan Hunt. Big lock-up on the rear, you see, just sends the car forward. I'm surprised the rear didn't come around, in all honesty. But have a look. Dan Kell now decides that he wants to, well, he's going to need no second invitation, is he? So he now jumps up into P11-2 for the price of 1. And in the space for about 200 yards, he makes up 2 positions. What it has, though, allowed... this has actually released Daniel Hurlock as well. So there isn't the three-way battle that's now... well, there is a three-way battle, but it's Daniel Hurlock has now been allowed to pull a bit of a gap, which is around about 1.5 seconds now. Further up the field, Mitchell versus... this is Cameron Brewster that's going to be having a bit of side-by-side between the two, and it is going to be Cameron Brewster making that move stick. And I'll tell you what, have a look at this. John Monroe wants a bit of a piece of the action as well. He's going to be on the outside for old Hairpin. It's a dangerous move to try and stick around the outside. Does he try and get the cutback? He tries to go for the cutback. What a move there for John Monroe. Absolutely timed to perfection. Really, really good stuff. Dan Hunt is trying to get back past Dan Kell, but can't quite get it sorted at the moment. He's being pressured quite aggressively by Phil Morby as well. Sorry, not Phil Morby. I don't know what I'm talking about. He's being pressured by Ryan Elliott instead. At the moment, nothing coming of it. Dan Hunt really wants this position back off of Dan Kell. Is he going to try and move? He tries up the inside of Coppice. He does. That pushes Dan Kell a little bit wide, and there you go. Look at that. That is Ryan Elliott that goes and gets the both of them. Another position that's been taken, 2 positions in 1 once again. And I think Dan Hunt, he may have been dropping back. I wonder if he may have just been stopping a penalty being applied to him there, because that potentially was a little bit too much contact for the move. Who has, the person that has gained most in that is Ryan Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Elliott was just a bit patient, let them squabble a bit, and that's the sort of thing as Dan Kell very sideways there through Redgate. That's going to leave him vulnerable down towards the old hairpin as Dan Hutt tries to get through as... Oh, there's some contact there, actually. That's what happened. Wow, that was a massive shunt to the back. But Dan Kell under pressure then from the number 99. Dan Hutt as they go up towards McLean's, through Starkey's, the number 48, I believe, that is trying to go through. Down at McLean's, when a bit of contact, Dan Kell goes a bit sideways, and now as number 40 is going to try and get his way through as well. That is Johannes Lappet, and Dan Kell, the defending champion, losing a place out there, actually losing 2, bit sideways, a very good move from Dan Hunt, and then his teammate will follow through. Both new entrances then. That is... What team is that? That is the... If I can... Dan Hutt and Johannes Lappet. What team is that?
I believe just looking through the through the spotter's guide, which we'll be able to tell you in a minute. Moving back now to the racing at hand. Ross McGregor has dropped down to P4. Dan Kell is dropping up. He's battling quite aggressively still as well. So the Zancho Simsport guys getting very much stuck in. A little bit of a lock-up there. Tiny bit of lock-up. That has cost a little bit of time for Luke Maguire in the BMW. So that will be putting, again, a little bit more strain on his tyres. 3 more laps to go here. Davis up ahead still with a 2-second lead now on Butcher. Maguire in 3rd. McGregor in 4th. And then Richards in 5th. 5.5 seconds down from the leader. But he has caught up a little bit. There's the TR-powered Geeks Energy. There we are. There's Lohans Lepit for the Geeks Energy Subaru Levorg. There we are, powered at number 15th currently. And then Dan Kell, only a couple of tenths ahead, but he may be nursing some damage or something. He doesn't quite get a very, very good run out of Coppice, although either that or the Levorg is insanely fast along the straight. Late on the brakes, though, Dan Kell goes. He manages to hold it around the outside. Good move there. Bit of contact. More contact as well between the two. And now it's a drag race down all the way into Redgate. Who is going to get the drive? It seems to be Dan Kell that's going to be taking a little bit more. He's going to be ahead going into the corner. He goes for a nice wide line, trying to get the cut back. Has Lepe, he goes a little bit wide, a bit of sideways moment as well. That will cost him. But unfortunately, Dan Kell can't capitalise on that movement there. Luke Maguire, still battling. He wants to get past Butcher, doesn't he? He's only got 2 more laps to do it, though, so he hasn't got very long. You see, again, just moving out, trying to fill his mirrors, going down into Coppice once again. The last thing he wants to do, though, is cost himself. He goes for a very wide line, trying to carry as much speed as he can. Attack mode's been used everywhere. Interesting enough, though, Butcher hasn't used an attack mode. Seems to be making all that much difference, though. This Astra seems to be absolutely blinding in a straight line. So regardless of whether attack mode is used or not, it doesn't seem that the Vauxhalls have to worry about it.
Yeah, going back to the Dan Kell thing, I believe he does have damage. I mean, we saw a replay of a massive amount of contact lead up towards Coppice with Dan Hutt, so I believe, yeah, it's probably definitely affecting his straight line speed a lot. I mean, he did go just straight into the back of him, so I'm surprised that Dan Hutt has been nursing it quite well if he's got any damage, but I'm almost certain that Dan Kell's definitely picked up some damage, and the defending champion has not had a good weekend so far, as he's currently down in 15th position. But this is the battle for second. Again, same time as last race, lap 15. Only got about a lap and a half to go. It's a really short lap here. Chris Butcher, Luke Maguire and Ross McGregor all going at it. Ross McGregor wasn't in this little scrap last time, but he has now got himself into it for race 2. This is Luke Maguire tucked into the slipstream. He doesn't have attack mode. Chris Butcher does use attack mode though to go defensive. Through the chicane will go. Try and get a good exit. Yellow's in sector 3. That's probably down at Coppice. Oh no! Who's that that's gone sideways? That is one of the Geeks Energy.
That is indeed one of the Geeks Energy cars. Couldn't quite see who that was. That may have been Johannes Leppit that has dropped down the order. We'll see what the timing tower tells us. No, it's not Johannes Leppit. No, teammate as well. So it's the teammate of the Geeks Energy car, Scott Morris. Could have been. Well, it could have been Scott Morris or Dan Hunt. We've been told actually as well. Apologies. Yes, Dan Hunt has dropped down the order. Bit of a shame there. Just maybe caught a little bit on the grass. Possibly bumped over the curb as well on the chicane. That cost him. Again, just rotation in the car, so a shame there, unfortunately. But final lap, Toby Davis. Whoa, that was a big send there by Ross McGregor. That was I want to feel caught out there a little bit by Maguire and his and the braking, possibly going down into McLean's. But it is going to be Matt Richards tries to go around the outside of Ross McGregor. Final lap battle here, 4P4. Richards does manage to hold it. Attack mode's being used all as where available, but Ross McGregor hasn't got one, or either that he just hasn't used it. So Matt Richards, in a last minute move there, a last minute capitalisation, manages to go into P4, but it is 2 for 2 for Toby Davis, taking the race win for race number 2. So can he make it 3 out of 3? We'll be seeing in the next 20 minutes or so. Cameron Brewster, P6 we see there, but Butcher in second. Once again, a 1-2 for the THR outfit. In the Aston Maguire in P3, Matt Richards 4th, and then McGregor are your top 5. Brewster comes across the line in 6th. There's Johannes Leppit there. And I believe that was the Geeks Energy cars coming across the line together. Matthew Chogwin, again, very, very strong performance in race 1 with just that bit of a spin early on the exit of McLean's. Big shame there, so he will come across the line in 17th place. But yeah, Cameron Brewster in 6th, John Monroe 7th, Chris Shepard 8th, Daniel Hurlock is 9th with Ryan Elliott rounding out your top 10. Phil Morby in 11th, Dan Hunt in 12th, Johannes Leppit in 13th, Dan Kell 14th, and then we've got Luke Mitchell 15th, Spooner in 16th, and then Churgwin 17th, Morris, Ben Willis, and Dowman round out 18th, 19th, and 20th. So race number 2 has concluded. Once again, some exciting racing, a little bit more aggressive than we saw from race 1. But then again, drivers are getting used to themselves, getting used to the car, getting used to the drivers that they are also racing with, and getting used to the track itself. The track does develop, so that is also something they'll be getting more comfortable with generally, especially when you get 3 races. You do have that constant evolution of the track to make sure that you capitalize and make sure you really utilize. You have to get used to the new conditions between races. But overall, though, really, really exciting race. And we do have one more race for you, and then we'll be having a chat with a couple of our drivers, all being well. So we will be taking a very, very short break once again to get everything ready for race number 3 of the TCUK 2022 season, round number 1 here at Donington. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to race number 3 for the TCUK round 1 here at Donington Park with myself, Daniel Handover, and Dylan Pig. First 2 races have been absolutely fantastic, really good racing as per usual, something that we expected with touring cars and also something that we expected with VMO. It's been a very successful day, whichever way you look at it, for the THR grid, but now comes the reverse grid here. There is a warm-up lap to go, and what the warm-up lap is going, we're going to read you down the grid. So we had a top 12 reverse grid, so the highest we can actually get. So as it turns out, and as it stands now, the grid is as follows. Dan Hunt in first, Phil Morby in second, Ryan Elliott takes P3, and then Daniel Hurlock in P4. A little bit further down, we have Chris Shepherd in 5th, John Monroe takes P6, Cameron Brewster in 7th, with Ross McGregor P8. As we move a little bit further down as well, Matt Richards in 9th, Luke Maguire takes P10, Chris Butcher in 11th, Toby Davis takes P12, so he's going to have his work cut out certainly. Johannes Leopard in 13th, Dan Kell in 14th, Luke Mitchell takes P15 on the grid, Matthew Churgwin in 16th, Scott Morris 17th, Ben Willis 18th, Callum Wilson 19th, and then Sam Dowman will be taking the final spot on the grid. So, this reverse grid has certainly shaken things up a little bit, Dylan, and I think one of the people we're going to have to really keep an eye out for is Toby Davis, because he's going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to make it 3 out of 3 today.
Yeah, we're not really seeing him have much action, especially in race 2 with the battle for second going on. He just ran away with it and midway through race 1 as well, so we've not really seen him have too much battle, so it's going to be good to see him get tested a bit here with a full reverse grid. He'll have to have a mighty charge, and it is the same race distance as the previous 2, but reverse grid races, we love them. It's just very interesting, a lot of chaos. It shakes things up. We've got some of the slower drivers at the front. It also gives them a chance to win as well, whilst we have the quicker drivers trying to make the way up. And it's reverse grid races are always action-packed, no matter what car, what track, whatever series. It will be the most action-packed race, and it's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most here.
Indeed, so drivers will be getting ready. And in fact, we are actually away. That was a quick start. That was a very quick start. Dan Hunt gets a very good drive, as we expected with a rear-wheel drive car. Just drives away from both Morby and Elliott as they come down 3 wide, possibly going down into turn 1. There's a little bit of argy-bargy that we can see a bit further down the order. The team hard. Chris Shepherd and Daniel Hurlock are going to go side by side for a brief moment, but then you've got Phil Morby that's getting pressured already by Ryan Elliott, who now goes through. So that's Chris Shepherd even. He's going to make the move going through. He does indeed. That even allows the number 87 to come through of Dan Hurlock. So it's currently a team hard 1, 2, 3. It's 2, 3, and 4. But actually, that is not the case, because Hurlock's had a big moment, and it's all gone completely wrong. I think that was Monroe that's got involved as well. Butcher, there's lots of people that have had a few that have had incidents there. That's a big pile up. We'll maybe have to get a replay of that to see what actually happened, but I think that was all stemmed from Hurlock getting on the grass, going through down through Starkey's Bridge, but leading now into the main race. Toby Davis already up into P7. Admittedly, he's gained a few freebies though, but he tries to make the move up the inside of his teammate Chris Butcher, but nothing as it stands at the moment. But he's pushing him on. Look at that. Teamwork as it goes. A little bit of argy-bargy between himself and Dan Kell. Dan Kell's getting very aggressive, getting pushed about a little bit. Can't be that aggressive though. There is a point where the aggression just turns into a bullying borderline, and eventually it will go wrong if you keep doing it. That one is done. That is Chogwin that's getting that splits both Butcher and Dan Kell. The reigning champion currently riding and using the number 1. Can he get further up the grid? He's currently running in P9. That was someone else that's gone off as well. I think that was Johannes Leopard that had a little bit of a moment on the exit of Old Hairpin there. Toby Davis still running in P7. He's got Chris Butcher, his teammate, just up ahead. So can he make any more moves forward? I'm sure there's going to be some more battling going on here. Everyone's running a bit more single file at the moment. Everyone's taking it a bit easy, getting used to the conditions, getting their tyres fully up to temp, getting the brakes working as well and working correctly, not overdriving the car. So the one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to overdrive the car too early. Once you get comfortable with the car, then you can start pushing it, which is what we're probably going to see now. This third lap, Ryan Elliott setting the fastest lap of the race so far with a 109.399, half a second away from Dan Hutt. Dan Hutt doing a very, very good job at the moment, keeping the two Team Hard cars at bay.
Now, yeah, this little battle going on here, we've started with all of the chaos that went on, especially on the opening lap. We've got really the top three, probably quickest drivers right now, Butcher, Davis and McGregor. They've all moved up a lot of places. They've had a brilliant opening lap. They kept themselves out of trouble. That's probably the main goal of lap one. Yes, you can gain a few places, but keep yourself out of trouble, because the race can't be won on lap one, but it can certainly be lost. Now they've got themselves into a bit of a problem where they are probably the quickest. They definitely have the pace to catch the cars up ahead, but now during this freeway battle, and it's inviting these cars further back, like Kell and Maguire, to then get involved into a bit of a fight as well. And it's stopped them from definitely the pace that they're showing right now, and that we know they have, especially Toby Davis, can move up and fight for the definitely fight for a podium, maybe even to win if he's got the pace. It's 16 laps, but he's very quick, and this is Chris Butcher trying to go around the outside of Ross McGregor. Following him there is his teammate Toby Davis, and Ross McGregor just gives him up there. It seems he's going to be a bit boxed in as we're going to go through Hollywood. Chris Butcher's got the move done, but now here comes Toby Davis as the battle continues for 5th place down the Craner Curves in towards the old hairpin. Toby Davis comfortably has that move done now on Ross McGregor and Chris Butcher, and maybe now they've got past Ross McGregor, the two THR cars can start working together and try and close the gap up to the two E-Team hard cars of Elliott and Shepherd and get themselves onto a podium. There is also Brewster that they have to contend with. Here though, down in 10th, Luke Maguire on the back of Churgwin and the defending champion Kell as we go through Coppit, getting a bit under curve there, a bit leery there is Luke Maguire. Having to slam on the brakes now is going to be vulnerable to the 444. That is Callum Wilson as we go down the back straight in towards the final chicane. He's not going to be close enough. Both using attack modes to defend and trying to attack the position, but neither will be able to take advantage of it. And a good exit there by the number 18, pulls ahead, and now we can try and focus on getting back on the number 43. That is Matthew Churgwin.
Certainly battling all the way up and down the field. Matt Richards just set the fastest lap time you can see at the top of the screen with a 108.9. So he's certainly trying to make some moves forward. Unfortunately, though, currently in P13, so he's got a long way to go to get some decent points on the board. But Luke Maguire in P10 still managing to hold off Callum Wilson at bay for the time being in the Infinity rear-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. At the moment, Luke Maguire he's managing holding his own relatively comfortably. We'll have to see again how he looks after his tyres. I don't really see too much in terms of tyre drop-off. Be interested to see what the drivers think with the tyre drop-off actually coming into play, if they even feel it at all. Some drivers don't necessarily feel the tyre drop-off, and they're able to keep their tyres going quite a while. As we now ride on board with Matthew Churgwin from the Dreg Racing Infinity car. Currently in P9, he's got the two Zanso Simsport cars up ahead of him, Dan Kell and Ross McGregor, and I believe that is going to be Dan Kell that makes a move on Ross McGregor. It is indeed. Dan Kell moves up into P7, and that is possibly going to allow Churgwin to catch up, because McGregor did lose a little bit of time there on Dan Kell, so this may allow Churgwin to try and capitalise on this move, although it doesn't seem to be happening. No, it does not. It is just going to be I think Ross McGregor that comfortably stays in P8 for the moment at least. But again, anything can change. We simply do not know. A couple of other close battles. We see Dan Herlock. He's fighting quite heavily with, I believe that's Johannes Leppit as well. So we'll see how that battle develops. On the front, it's still relatively close between Elliott and Shepherd. Less than a second between Dan Hutt and Ryan Elliott, and then less than a second between Chris Shepherd. And whoa, this is getting a little bit dicey, isn't it? They're going to go 3 wide down into their final chicane. Are they going to do it? Who's going to come out top? No, it's gone wrong. Who manages to keep? Oh, it's gone wrong even more. Matthew Churgwin eventually is the one that loses out on that massively, unfortunately so. An initial bit of contact and then just got even worse. Matthew Churgwin, the initial contact wasn't his fault. Didn't look like he moved across. He was well entitled to be there. but unfortunately just didn't quite go his way with that final bit of contact. Didn't see the final contact. I was too busy paying attention to Dan Kell to see if he was going to come barreling across the circuit. But unfortunately, fortunately, sorry, that was not the case. That's a bit of a battle in between Toby Davis and Chris Butcher. That is not good. Teammates coming together, and a big moment there for Chris Butcher. There was contact going into Old Hairpin, and that cost Butcher may have cost him a couple of positions. Toby Davis was the one that gained out of that. He didn't lose any time at all. And I think Dan Kell has capitalised on the fact that Chris Butcher has lost that position. Well, he did, I think, for a brief moment. I think Dan Kell's gone off as well, actually. I believe, yes. Dan Kell has had a moment. I wonder if there was contact. I did just see that what looked like Kell and Butcher coming together. And obviously, Dan Kell seems to have lost out there. He now drops back to P10. But it seems that Dan Kell can't really catch a break at the moment. But a big shame there for the THR guys, Toby Davis and Chris Butcher coming together.
Yeah, but it does give Toby Davis a bit of an advantage here. It gives him a bit of... this is Daniel Herlock attacking the number 46. We can't... It's not on the spot. Oh, it's for number 40, sorry. Johannes Lepid. Very confusing with the numbers not being very visible to me. At least maybe I'm blind and I get myself some glasses. Down towards the crane of curves they go. The inside line for Herlock is now going to have to try and go around the outside. Takes a wide line, trying to get the switch back there on Lepid. Lepid was a bit wide, and Herlock, nicely done. Smart driving there by the E-Team Hard driver as he tries to make his way up the order after having that lap 1 incident at the same corner. Now, 7 laps later, he gets that position. Very smart racing there, but what I think happened with the... Dan Kell incident with Morris, I believe, it just looked like Kell turned in very early. I mean, it was nowhere near the apex, nowhere near really the braking zone, almost looked intentional. I don't want to say that, point fingers, but at least from the angles we had, I mean, it will be up to the shooters to decide who's at fault, but it looked like Kell turned in very early. He surely should have known that Morris was on his inside, and if he didn't, well, you need to be aware of these sort of things. And then his teammate, McGregor, just decided to follow up and do the second punch. So, very sketchy there for the Zancho team. Dan Herlock with probably the smartest move we've seen of the day so far in towards the old hairpin. Very strategic, smart, planned out move. Not very dicey, which we've also seen with the as Davis was just about to go onto him and Butcher got at the old hairpin. Davis now gets past Brewster, and now with about 7 laps to go, he can start to make his way onto the E-Team Hardboy. He's got 5.3 seconds to make up, but the Elliott and Shepherd were a long way down the order. Toby Davis has won both races. That is a mouthful to say. Now he can try and make his way down, and already he's taken a good second out of them. So has Shepherd maybe had a mistake somewhere, as that gap's already gone down to 3.4 seconds, 2.4 now. Toby Davis making light work of this gap, really closing down, and he's showing the pace advantage he has over the top 3. And like I said, now it gives him a chance to maybe just fight for a podium and maybe even to win and get the hat-trick of the race wins.
Well, 6 laps to go. We will have to see. He's going to have to really put in a drive, though. The gap, 3.3 seconds. So we'll see if he can do it. Not only that's the gap to the leader, but he's also then got to get past 2 cars, 3 cars even. Oh, bit of contact there between Dan Hunt. You see he goes a little bit wide between... so Dan Hunt on the exit of McLean's. And that's going to be... Oh, you can't turn in there because there's a car on the way. Ryan Elliott, though, manages to keep his foot in. So that position has been lost. Dan Hunt is now in 2nd place and might even lose a position to Shepherd, perhaps. He's going to be on the inside line. He's going to have the preferred line going down into the final chicane. And I think it is going to be yes. So that one small little mistake there at the exit of McLean's cost Dan Hutt 2 position. Does mean, though, he is still in a podium position, but for how much longer? Because have a look at that. Davis, all of a sudden, 3.3 seconds is now 1.3 seconds even away from the leaders. It is going to... Sorry, that's an interval. Apologies. So he's still about 3 seconds away. So it has come down a little bit. It just depends on what lap times he is able to do. And that's obviously something that we are going to see. If there's a little bit of contact there as Dan Hutt tries to get back up the inside. In fact, he does. So he just slots back at the inside, going through old hairpin on Chris Shepherd. And have a look, all of a sudden, Davis is just there on the back, and he's going to move. He's going to make a move straight up at the inside. Oh, no, 3 cars don't fit into one space.
Opportunistic.
That was a little bit too aggressive, unfortunately, there. I mean, in all honesty, Toby Davis, he did manage to get it done, but a little bit too much contact in there. A bit more contact as well. It's all starting to kick off in race number 3. And have a look at that, the number 39, that is Brewster.
Oh, Chris Butcher. Chris Butcher's now got himself into this as well. Now, this is touring car racing to a T. Very argy-bargy side by side, and we're not even on the final couple of laps like we've seen. Chris Butcher getting tagged in the rear there by the number 99, Dan Hunt. He's going to be very bitter. He's fallen from the lead all the way down the order. That's down to 6th from the race lead, but yeah, very opportunistic. And that was that Brewster that's got himself into 3rd as well. That is brilliant. Toby Davis, he definitely had the move on for 2nd there. He was definitely side by side and had the inside line. I don't quite know what he was thinking going for the lead of the race. But Elliott still out ahead in the race lead. 2.9 seconds is the gap between himself and Toby Davis. Chris Butcher's also getting himself now up the order. He's into 4th after having an adventure after a bit of contact with his teammate at the old hairpin. THR boys having a blimer of a weekend so far, and there is Chris Butcher getting him past Brewster, and then Brewster's going to be fallen victim to Shepherd as well. Now, it's one of those things, if you lose 1 at Coppice, you lose 2, and now Brewster is looking to lose 3 here as Dan Hunt trying to get himself back up the order. He's going to go 3 wide into the final chicane, late on the brakes there by Hunt. Can he get it done? A bit of contact there with Shepherd. Shepherd has to cut across the final corner, runs a bit wide there. Now it's about Dan Kell getting involved in all of this as well. And the number 444, where has he come from? Callum Wilson's come out of nowhere, and he's got himself into 4th. Where the hell has he come from?
He's certainly just appeared out of nowhere, hasn't he? This is all of a sudden really opened up. I mean, there's a little bit too much contact now, even for touring car standards. This may be a little bit too aggressive for the drivers. Let's just back it off a little bit. Make sure they compose themselves into these final stages of this race. Matt Richard, though, he's all of a sudden just appeared as well. Let's keep an eye out to see what Matt Richard can do. I think he got blocked a little bit by Brewster, because I see Matt Richard was flashing his lights a little bit, so I think that may have been what happened there, but he's still certainly trying to, he's still very much there in P6, so it's really kicked all of a sudden. Toby Davis, 2.2 seconds now between himself and Ryan Elliott, so let's keep an eye out. So again, another very strong performance from the THR chaps as it stands at the moment, but this is the battle that we're really interested in. It's from P4 all the way down, so that's probably around about P10, P11 really, so it is anyone's game here. It's actually P12 as well. We've got the 2 cars that's tagged onto the back of it, and just you see there is the train. So anything can happen here. Johannes Lepper is leading the back of this train. We'll see what can happen. Matt Richards up the inside, the Aerostream Motorsport car, manages to make the move, albeit very briefly. I think Bruce is going to try and come back. No, he does not. Dan Kell decides that he wants to have a piece of the action as well as he comes down Craner Curves. He's on the inside for Old Hairpin. Can he make it stick? It's going to be the last of the late breakers down into Old Hairpin. Can he carry the speed through? I believe he can. But then have a quick look as well behind, because I think, no, he does. So Dan Kell has managed to get it. So Dan Kell moves up into P6. Brewster drops down in 7th. Chris Shepherd now goes into P8. You just see the move there he made on Dan Hutt. So Dan Hutt dropping down the order, unfortunately. Had a very good run all the way. He's just slipping down the order ever so slightly now. It's very easy to get caught in this this movement as you go backwards. It's very easy to get tagged in. It's something that I've done a few times as well. You seem to lose one position and they all just come very quickly in quick succession. You never have a chance to settle back into a rhythm, which is certainly a bit of a shame. But the battle of P4 is still very much on the go, even though the gaps have opened up a little bit with the battle for P4. Callum Wilson is leading. We're leading this battle and this train in 4. Can Matt Richards make a position and final position to match his race 2 performance and slot into P4? Considering where he was at the start of this race, I was not expecting to see Matt Richards all the way up in P5 fighting for P4. But there we go, a little bit further down that you can just see again, still a big train. In fact, the next train that we've got now, arguably, is Cameron Brewster, all the way down then to Johannes Lepper. So Cameron Brewster leading this, leading the second train.
Yeah, sorry, I'd just like to put in there, Davis, that gap's just about half a second now, as we're about to go on to the final lap of the race. Davis and Elliott, we could be having a last lap battle for the lead. Can Elliott get the race free win, or can Toby Davis get the sweep? So forget the battle for fourth, we've got the battle for the win going on here, maybe. Up towards the final chicane though right now, car number 4, that is Matt Richards trying to get past the car number 444. Can't quite get it done. Wilson with a penalty there. That'll be for track limits. Matt Richards will say thank you to that. But Toby Davis, the gap's now just to about a 10th, and we could be seeing a bit of a battle. If we can get some shots of that, that'll be brilliant. End to the race. Being able to watch that as everyone, as we thank you to our TV director, those do get eyes on this battle then as they go down towards Old Hairpin. Elliott versus Davis. They're going to go through Starkeys Bridge up towards McLean's. Then we go. First real opportunity, overtaking opportunity if he can get close enough up at McLean's. He's very close. He thinks about the outside, just sets up the line there, gets a better apex, gets a better run, and he had a bit of an overlap there. Elliott goes defensive as we go up towards Coppice for the final time this weekend. Can't go around the outside. Maybe he can there. A bit too tight for Elliott. Round the outside, Toby Davis. He drifts a bit wide though, and now Chris Butcher might be able to get himself involved. He's not close enough, but that was a... He didn't get the best of runs there, Toby Davis, and now I think Elliott, as he's going to go through the final chicane for the final time, he will take the race free win there. It's going to be a drag race up towards the line, but Elliott will win, and Davis will dive into the pit.
Davis goes into the pit.
He got a penalty, and
I think a few of them did.
At the final chicane there for Davis, he will go into the pits, he will drop down to 5th, and Butcher will take 2nd, and a lot of penalties there. And Kell has now got himself onto the podium. Shepherd 4th, Brewster 5th. Those penalties at the end there, of everyone trying to get a last-ditch effort through the final chicane, has really rejigged the order, and everything we've known for those first 15 and a bit laps, the final 2 turns has caused absolute chaos there on the last lap.
Well, it certainly has, as you say there. It's so you got Ryan Elliott is now it takes the race victory. Chris Butcher in 2nd, Dan Kell is P3. Chris Shepherd 4th, Cameron Brewster in 5th, Daniel Herlock 6th, Dan Hutt in P7, Ross McGregor in 8th, Johannes Leppert in 9th, Matthew Churgwin rounds out your top 10, Phil Morby takes P11, and then you've got Sam Downman in 12th, Toby Davis 13th, Callum Wilson in 14th, Matt Richards in 15th, so that was certainly a big set of events on that final race. Ben Willis takes 16th, Luke McGuire 17th, and then Scott Morris, John Monroe, and then Luke Mitchell. Your final steps and your final spots on the podium. Well, that was an interesting turn of events. Did you say track limits there, affecting the very, very end of the race, quite literally the end of the race. And there we go. There is your final classification of Ryan Elliott, Chris Butcher, and then Dan Kell in P3. There's Toby Davis in 4th, and then Chris Shepherd in 5th. Sorry, no, that's Toby Davis. Would have had the P4 as a little bit possibly jiggling around that may be yet to come for that timing tower, because we see that Toby Davis and Chris Shepherd both showing as P4. That may not certainly be the case. What we're seeing from the live timing shows us a little bit of a different story. But either way, that was a very, very interesting end to the final. Like I said, it happened right on the very, very final lap. You do have a couple of laps, I believe, to be able to serve penalties. So that could have been very well what the case was, trying to make up as many positions as possible, and then obviously diving into the pit. So, it may have been some tactics even in there as well. We're going to leave it a couple of moments, and hopefully we'll be able to have a chat with a few of our drivers. And then once we have hopefully then have a chat with a couple of drivers, and then we'll be signing off for the evening. Toby Davis is already with us, so we're hopefully going to have a chat with him. And we're actually going to have a chat with both of the THR boys. Gentlemen, welcome to the commentary box. First off, I'd just like to say, really, really good race overall for both of you and for the THR team in general. Toby, just want to start with you, if I may. Really, really good race 1, race 2, and to be fair, race 3 didn't quite go to plan towards the end as with yourself and a few drivers, but overall pace was certainly there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we worked very, very hard on the setup. and we worked very hard on making sure that we had all our tactics right and everything. And yes, race 1 and race 2 were wonderful. Absolutely, almost a dream result, you know. Yeah, and then race 3, I literally got the drive-through penalty as I exited that chicane on the last lap. So yeah, perhaps I should have taken it easier, but there we are. It is what it is. Well done to Ryan. He did a great job in race 3. Yeah, I think it shows. Yeah, we're absolutely back. Chris won a couple of seasons ago, and obviously Dan Kell won last season. So great to be back at the front.
Well, certainly so, and you know, Chris, as you say, you know, a previous winner of the TCUK from VMO. Yeah, I mean, again, really good pace between yourself and Toby. I think this certainly stems a very, very good first outing for you, and hopefully paves the way for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously, the team's worked very hard on the setup and extracting as much pace as we could from the car, and yeah, as Toby alluded to, dream result for the first 2 races, maximum points, and race 3. Okay, Toby had that issue, but still a really good result for the team. Yeah, pretty strong. You know, we felt our main competitors going into this were going to be Zanshow, and they seem to have had a bit of a difficult event. So that's a really good foundation for us to build from, and hopefully we can continue it through the season. We think Brands will be difficult for us because we're pretty sure the rear wheel drive cars are going to have the edge there, but yeah, really good start.
Absolutely, no, really good stuff. And yeah, racing overall was absolutely fantastic. Hopefully we'll be able to see obviously more of this moving forward the remainder of the season. And you say Brands Indy, a little bit more of a tricky one in terms of car. But Toby, just going back to you as well. In terms of, are you already starting testing now, or is it something you want to normally get the race out of the way first and then jump into testing? Are you going to be testing straight from the word go?
No, I'm going to take probably a few days off, I think. THR are involved in other championships elsewhere as well, so we've got other things to focus on. But certainly from a personal level, I think I'll start after the weekend. But yeah, we're going to struggle a lot more at Brands Hatch. The rear wheel drive cars will have an advantage there. So yeah, we wanted to make, Chris said it earlier, we wanted to make hay while the sun shines, where we've got an advantage, let's use it, and I think we did well. So I think Chris is now leading the championship, and hopefully I think I'm second. So that's wonderful news. We'll see what we can get out of Brands Hatch and go from there. But really enjoyable evening. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast as well. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. Really, really good to see you guys, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you in similar, possibly even better circumstances next week to both of you. But no, gents, thank you very much again, and good luck for next week.
Thanks, Daniel. Nice one, mate.
Thanks, Daniel.
Take care. So good racing then, a good day out for the THR guys. Certainly something that they'll be certainly wanting more of those. But we are going to now have a chat with the one and only Mr. Matt Richards. Matt. So, I mean, a bit of I wouldn't say necessarily a mixed result. We certainly had some good pace. Really, really good start of the first race. Got the car hooked up nicely. BMW seems to be working for you, but do you feel there's a bit more to be had out of the car at the moment?
There's a lot more to be had out of the car. I came in very unprepared. I was expecting to miss the first round with some of the commitments, but a few things didn't quite line up. So yeah, it wasn't quite as prepared as I'd like to be, and I think the setup is quite a ways off. There's a few areas where I struggled against the THR guys. In all fairness to them, they did a perfect job in race 1 and 2. They had the car under them, they managed the tyres perfectly, and just pulled the moves and the push to pass where they needed to. So they did a really good job, and I think there's a lot of catching up for other people to do.
Well, certainly so, and as you say, it's an interesting. You've got obviously a long way to go in the season yet, so it's not over. In terms of the independent entries, I believe you are leading the independent entries as it stands at the moment. So, it's always good. And then in terms of the BMW, how is the BMW driving anyways? Was there a particular decision to choose it for this year, or is it something you were thinking of quite a while back?
I ran it last season, and I was always intending to keep a rear-wheel drive platform. It's something that works well for me. I think, as I said, there's a lot of work to do with the car, and I think average lap time wise, I was missing probably up to half a second over a race distance at least. So there's definitely a lot to find. It was nice to be back, but the results could have been a lot better given some of the mistakes that I made.
No worries. Well, I mean, the only way is up. I think, to be fair, by the sounds of it, we've got some good progression to be had out of the car. So hopefully, we'll look forward to catching up with and seeing those progressions later on. But Matt, thank you very much for jumping in, and we look forward to catching up with you next time.
No problem at all. Hopefully, I get to speak to you next time as well.
Indeed. So, there we are. Calendar up on your screen. Round number 1 is done. And then we have Brands Indy next, as what Chris Butcher and Toby Davis was alluding to. I think it seems that the rear-wheel drive cars are going to have a little bit of an advantage at Brands Indy. We move to Silverstone International. Big, it's a fast circuit in Silverstone International. Thruxton, interesting circuit to say the least. That's going to be, again, another very, very fast circuit. Fastest circuit in the UK. Then we've got Alton Park, Croft, Snetterton, Knockhill, Silverstone National, and then rounding off with Brands Hatch GP, because of course you couldn't round off with anything else other than that. But Dylan, first race having gone, I think overall, first round even, really, really good stuff. This is going to be a very, very interesting season. I believe we might have lost Dylan for a few moments, but either way, hopefully we'll bring him back in a moment.
Sorry, hello.
Oh, yes, we have him back now.
Sorry,
Dylan.
I had myself muted for that.
That's right. So round 1, obviously, has now finished, concluded. It is going to be a very, very interesting championship. We are 100% sure of, let's be honest. But I think moving forward, we've got some, for the rest of the season, we don't necessarily know. It's very, very early to tell who's got the advantage outright.
Oh, indeed. I mean, especially with that the third race, it was very topsy-turvy. But as I was trying to say, before I was talking to myself, basically, each race today has got better and better. So hopefully we can continue that momentum into Brands Hatch Indy. I mean, race 1 at times was a bit stale, but then towards the end it got better. Then race 2, everyone had got comfortable on elbows out. And then race 3, reverse grid, all guns blazing, absolute chaos. And it's really interesting, and hopefully we can build on to the next round at Brands Hatch. Again, a very scrappy circuit with not too many defined overtaking opportunities. Paddock Hill, very similar to Redgate. In fact, it's not quite low speed, it's more medium speed, but the overtaking opportunity is there. It's slightly off camber, downhill, the elevation change, Paddock Hill, turn 1, lap 1 is going to be interesting. Then the chaos at Druids. It's just going to be brilliant. Again, I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, as am I. But we do unfortunately have to wrap up for this round. Thank you all for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Big thank you as well to VMO for organising TCUK 2022. And big thanks as well to Mike providing us cameras and the ability to watch and for everyone else to watch the stream as well. Dylan, thank you very much. Pleasure to have worked with you for the first time, and hopefully this will be the first of many. But we will see everyone, all being well, next race at Brands Hatch Indy. Make sure you stick around, make sure you subscribe, and keep an eye out for when these races are and when the calendar pops up. It's certainly going to be a very, very interesting season. The 13th of next month is when it is. So a couple of weeks' time. Stick around, but we will see you next time. And as always, take care, stay safe.